he knew like the language as well. Like he wasn't like, it's your culture, not like about me. He knew like everything about it. He wasn't like afraid to go into the culture and teach like the kids that way, which is like how we kind of grew up. Because it's like my sister, for example, only wants to date like a Cuban like curry guy because she doesn't want to teach the culture. But like it kind of depends on like what you're willing to go that far and teach it. Because like personally, my family doesn't care, you know, like who they date. If you want to share that and go that extra stuff, that's kind of like what matters.
I believe it was Teresa.
Yeah, for me, yeah, for me and my family, like, it definitely is a big thing. Like, my parents do have a lot of influence in how I grew up and like how I saw things, and like being Nigerian and even like taking that to a smaller level, being Igbo. Like in Nigeria alone, there's so many different like tribes and different cultures. So I feel like for my parents, like their point of view, a big fear they have, and they've seen it with other family members where I've had family who have married Americans or people from Europe, whatever, and they've completely dropped the culture. And you don't hear from them, and the kids don't know about the Nigerian culture or the Igbo culture. So like, I guess a fear that a lot of parents may have is losing their child and their grandkids in the generations to come. That's a very valid fear. Now, do I think that it should necessarily stop you from living life till its fullest? No, but at the same time, you do need to consider that. Like, how much do you value your culture and how much do you want that to be moved on? So.
Thank you. Okay, we're going to have Tatiana speak, just because I know she hasn't spoken.
Obina.
And Obina. Actually, it's going to be Obina, then no? Obina, you're not here?
I'm going to talk.
Okay, so we're going to Obina and Tatiana. I'm just going to pick hands that haven't spoken, guys.
Yeah, so going on what she said, like speaking like as Nigerian as well, it's like, and also what he said about colorism, and also what he said about judging from like someone's race when you want to go into a relationship with them. I find it's important that we don't put too much preference, like too much power on that, because at the end of the day, you're not born with the race that you want to be. But when you grow up, you're not born black. Like you're born black or white. You don't get to choose. That's what I mean. But what you do get to choose is how open you are to learn about another person's culture. How open you are to understanding that like there's racism in this world and there's certain things like how other people from a certain culture might look at it. And like when you start going, you can't date out of your race. Like for example, my parents, like it's not about dating outside of black. It might be outside of dating of Nigerian. And then you talk to my dad, he's like, you must date an Igbo woman. And like when I went back home, like during the Christmas, like you see white people there too in the village also having like because they're open to it. Like they didn't just come in and try to like whatever they were able to like cohabit and like live together. And at the end of the day, that's what makes a relationship good, healthy. Not just because the person is black, or not just because the person is white, or not just because the person is in your own race. Not. As long as they're able to be in a healthy relationship and listen to you, like that's good.
Thank you. Tatiana.
Yeah, I was going to say, from my personal experience, like, I see with my grandma, she came into Canada a long time ago, so I almost feel like her experience has, like, made her values and what kind of she preaches to me, which is not as positive as, I guess, a grandma should talk sometimes, and she has her own, like, preconceived notions. Like, I liked a Bayesian guy once, and she was like, oh, you shouldn't date Bayesian guys because they beat their women. I'm like, who did you hear that from? But, like, I think because of her, like, trying to fit into her own culture and her experiences, she's kind of had a negative time almost in a way, so she wants me to maybe not date someone black, which is not good. And my mom's not like that, and she would like me to date anyone, but her main thing is, like, make sure they're down or make sure, like, they understand, because having to teach someone or have to deal with their own opinions of you and, like, kind of navigating your way through that is, like, exhausting. And, like, like, it's just, yeah, so I feel like it depends on people's own experiences and what they've gone through in your family, and you can't let it kind of dictate yours, I guess, in a way.
Oh, okay, we'll do like 4 more, so like 1. Okay, so.
Okay, we're here, and then Teresa, and then I have Kat. Okay, let's go.
Wait, right before you start, it is past 9:30, so if you want to leave. If you want to go, you can go.
Okay, can I just grab your attention, Deb? So. Alright, can I just grab everyone's attention? Thank you, Chris. Alright, actually, we're just gonna wait, like. Bye. Okay.
My family's like also West African. Like we're not. I'm not. My parents are Nigerian, but they're from like Sierra Leone. If anyone knows my parents. So like it's kind of like my like they have like kind of like a negative view of their own culture kind of thing. That's like really like weird. So it's kind of like I know like when my parents like started like dating, like when they were going out, my grandma, so like my dad's mom, had a problem because like my dad's from like the like capital town, it's like Freetown, but my mom is from like the Konos, which is like kind of like the countryside. So it was kind of like my grandma like, oh, like you're from like the city, like why are you being like a country girl or that kind of stuff. So like, but even from then, like my parents have like a kind of like you can date like people from like other African countries, but they don't want me to get like don't get like no son on man or whatever, like that kind of thing. So like, but like, I don't know, it's like they kind of like, my mom more like, as long, whoever makes me happy, like she doesn't care, but it's kind of like she wants them to like fit into like a specific category of like who I am kind of thing.
Thank you. Teresa, we just also try to keep it short. That was long. That was long.
No, like for me, like just like on that, it's like my family, in my experience, has really shaped how, like my dating life has been. But like in like many different ways. For example, like being Trinidadian and Zimbabwean, I had that like, oh, who's she gonna marry? Like an African or the Caribbean? Like which side is she gonna choose? And then I also like I have a mother who's in an interracial relationship, and so like I live in a household where like my stepdad is white and I love him to death, and like I see like the beauty in that, and the beauty like that comes from like just opening up your heart to just like genuine relationship, like genuine love. And so like I definitely feel like I had a lot of pressure like when I was like a bit younger. I was like, oh my gosh, like I'm gonna have to have like that like black love, like that love and basketball type love, like, and then like no, just being honest, and then like coming to Queens and like having certain experiences, it's just like I just got to a point where it's like, you know, like whoever vibes with me and whoever's real, like that's it. So that's where I just left it at that point where it was like getting out of the sauce, I guess, and just like really getting back to a point where like love yourself, know yourself, and like be with who you want to be with.
Okay, last person who's gonna talk.
So I'm really happy this conversation is happening. I was just thinking we have been focusing in the black versus white relationship, or we're talking about interracial relationship. My point is, even at Queens, we black people in general in this room, we are not the of the minorities. We are not like the big minority, right? So it will be for me really interesting to see how we relate with other minorities. So I want to see a little bit more like not only us black people relating with white people and that really complex relationship that we have. You all know that, right? But our even more complex relationship that we don't see, and I think optics matter at all. That is like us black people with other minorities, and we don't see that at all. We don't see a black person with an Asian person. We don't see a black person with a Muslim, and that is a kind of relationship that we have to embrace too if we're having a conversation about interracial relationship, because it is not only about the black-white case. It is most about like creating a whole space for all of us, right?
Yeah, that's true. Okay.
Oh, sorry.
Christopher is the last.
Honestly, like I feel like, especially as black males, like we feel like black women like kind of victimize themselves a little bit too much. Like I just feel like. Yeah.
We're just gonna.
No worries. Yeah, I sat here and listened to a lot of opinions, and I was just a little confused. So, what I mean by victimized, like if we black guys go and talk to white girls, whatnot, like we talk to our preference. It's not based on like, oh, she's a black girl or she's a white girl, I'm gonna talk to her. We just talk to someone based on our preference. But then we go talk to a black girl, it's, oh, go talk to your white girls or go do this or we're not interested in you. No, because this is exactly what I mean. Because when us as black men have an opinion about how we see things, all of a sudden black women are like, no, that's not how it is. That's not how it is, and that's what I mean by playing the victim. Because you're telling us, no, it's fine. You're telling us how we see things in our standpoint. So what we're saying is when we like, I know there's obviously not a lot of men in this room. If there are, like not a lot of men who are speaking in this room, but when we go and talk to black girls or whatnot, and we get the go talk to white girls, or you're not really interested in black girls or what, or this and that, it's like, okay, so if you want us to talk to black girls, we try to, then you scold us when we talk to. Why would we continue to talk to black girls? Then exactly what I just said right now. Like I say that, and all of a sudden it's always about the black girl, like being victimized, saying, "Oh, that never happened." It's always about the black girl, always about the black girl. It's not. Like it's really not. Like it happens on both sides of the spectrum. So if black girls are not willing to see that it happens on both sides, how are we ever going to come to a conclusion and put our differences aside?
I just wanted to make a point that if you agree with Chris, we respect his experience.
And sorry to interrupt. If you don't agree with me, feel free to talk to me when this is over.
Room 11.
So this is the official end of the discussion. We really want to thank you for coming out tonight. Feel free to stay back and chat amongst the shelves because apparently the conversation is not done. Okay. So music. Yes.
Room 11.
Pizza's a little cold, but it's over there. So in an orderly fashion, so grab it. Your key box is set. Stay behind. Thank you for coming.